Shut up and sit down.
Well, Schmelgy, Belgy, Welgy! Welcome, everybody, to episode 292 of Third Shift. Oh, my gosh. Ding, dong, ding, dong. The numbers, they keep rolling. It's almost there. It's almost episode 300. Woo! Has panic set in? Yes. Has depression set in? Yes. All the feelings have started to set in because it's so close. Oh, my gosh. Woo! I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but it doesn't matter. Because we're here for episode 292 of Third Shift. And of course, I am me, Mr. Eric, the cuddly wuddly little bear. And with me today is Mr. Matt, the inglorious bastard himself. He's here today. He was shaking his head. I can be a cuddly wuddly bear. Look at me. Look at me. I'm like an old, bald, cuddly wuddly bear with patches of hair here and there.
You know, I even looked off in the distance. And I'm like, I'm going to picture Eric like snuggling on the floor with his daughters or something. And it just like revolted me. I was just like, nah, this isn't Eric. Eric is drunk and slapping things and throwing stuff. That's what Eric's supposed to be.
That's a true Eric. That's not not this fake cuddly wuddly bear.
That's not this false Eric. Yeah.
Maybe it's Eric the Red. Who knows?
His name. Whatever. It's whatever. No. He's a cuddly wuddly bear of his own making.
Kind. Yes, indeed he is.
Yeah.
So of course we're both here today for this wonderful. Whatever episode, we're going to have some fun here. I think it's a good episode to be having, right, man?
It is a good episode to be having. We're finally going to talk about some actual stuff, but we're going to talk about what I did this week, because I'm throwing to myself as an intro because I'm so good at podcasting. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. What'd you do this week, Matt? Well, let me tell you, I did almost absolutely nothing because it's quarter end week. So I was just sad and miserable, and then not sad, but just angry. I was angry, sad, miserable, depressed. It was great. It was wonderful. Quarter end's finally over, and so now we're just coming off the quarter end. So it's residual of just. But I did play a couple games over the quarter end week. One of which was Animal Crossing New Horizons. Hey, I don't mention it, but I still do play it every day. That was the light at the end of the tunnel. When I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm on lunch. I need to get away somewhere. Where should I get away to? My island, where everything's beautiful and everybody's friendly. And I did that, and then I had to go back to work. But I played that. I did get in one stream of Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster. I'm to the second to last dungeon, and from what I understand, they just kind of go back to back. So the next stream should be the last one for that game, and I can finally file it away and get on to 3 and play that for the first time ever with the job system and all that stuff. And then I'm putting it in here. I put it here in the show notes for some reason because what was I just this whole week? Sad, miserable, depressed, angry, all the bad emotions. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I saw the best tweet I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm pulling it up right now so I can read it verbatim. It was from our friends at Remedy Entertainment, at Remedy Games on Twitter. They said, "We are pleased to announce that we will remake the iconic Max Payne and Max Payne 2 The Fall of Max Payne in a new development agreement with Rockstar Games. Not re-release, not remaster, remake. Two of my favorite games of all time, Max Payne 1 and 2. I couldn't believe it. It was the best day of my life until the point where that 2-pack, which will be released as one game for Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, comes out. I couldn't believe it. And then all the rest of that day, Max Payne quotes were just running through my head. All my favorite bits from both of those games, thinking about them, dreaming about them, in sexy, new, hot, high-res detail, all the graphics, all the shine, all the beautiful Remedy touches, all the throwbacks, because you know they're going to have Easter eggs and throwbacks to both games in this new remade version. I couldn't believe it. It's making me happy right now. I wish there was like, hey, we're going to start doing it, and it's done. That would be the only thing that could be better. But man, it made my whole day, and it made my week, and it made my day again when I remembered about it and put it on the show notes. Wow, what a great week. What about you, Eric?
Gosh bless, I even guessed it. Look at, even in the notes I went, ooh, MPVP, I knew it. I saw that the other day, and I went, oh, Matt's a happy little chicken man now. I never played Max Payne, so I don't have a connection to it. But now that Remedy's going to remake it, I'm like, well, guess I have to check it out. Matt says it's awesome. Lots of other people said it was pretty dang cool. And now Remedy's messing with it. So it's on the radar. I'll be pleased to see it come out. But my week was sort of the same, man. I changed my whole life around. Restructured everything. Started working overnight shifts. And I just had a great time at work. I just contemplated life and a lot of other things, as I stood there in the wee hours of the morning processing tons and tons of letters. It was good. It's very good.
I gotta say, there is nothing better / worse than that, is when everybody's gone, whether your machine is running well or poorly, and you just look up and it's 2 a.m. or, for me, it's 9:50 and I still have more than a half hour before you guys even come in. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I've been here so long and nobody else is here other than the people on the other side of the wall, which don't really count because you don't see them because they got to run their machines. That's your whole mind. It's just beehive, cloud of flies.
Yep. It's definitely something. Something indeed it is. But I did get up some gaming, and I did something I wasn't going to do. I kept getting the call, Matt. Strangers, gotta get chaos. I couldn't help myself. He was calling to me. Chaos in my real life, chaos in the game. I was like, yes, I need to kill chaos too, Jack. I need to kill chaos.
And Jack, it lines up. It's like poetry. They rhyme.
Exactly. So I did get in there and I was playing and having a great time with it, and some of my little off hours here and there. But as I told Matt, I said, no, stop it, Eric. You can't. You said you were going to get through Elden Ring before you went ahead and jumped in this bad boy, because you didn't want a conflict of interest and a conflict of control schemes and just the way you generally attack, fight, do all sorts of stuff. So I put it back down and I got back into Elden Ring and I went to the Volcanic Manor. It's hard. That place sucks. And I'm like, this is annoying me. And so I was like, all right, well, whatever. I'm going to ditch this place for now. I'm going to go do the mainline quest and go to Lendell Castle or whatever the hell that place is. So I go over there. That place sucks. It's hard. And the frustrating part was it wasn't hard as like the Volcanic Manor was, where the enemies were just tougher and all craziness. I didn't know where to go or what I was actually really even doing. So, and then there's volcanic lava, obviously everywhere. And you could just jump down to places where you're just seemingly like stuck and you're just, okay, well, that's cool. Now you're just down this hole. Now you have to just, I guess, teleport out and go somewhere else. So I was like, whatever. Go to Lendell Castle. Well, Lendell Castle is more structured. You're working your way through the castle. You're obviously trying to get to the main thing. And it's not just the castle. It's like the whole town. The whole town, and you're working to get to the castle, I'm assuming, and then get your way all the way up the castle to said boss. Crazy huge, and that's the problem. The baddies are tough, don't get me wrong, but they're doable as long as you're going and being focused and chilling. But they've got sneaky moments. There's sneaky bad guys here and there. There's bad guys who just sometimes do some wacky moves, and if you ain't just right on that money, you're getting smoked. And here's the deal. The grace points are not like boop, 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 like they were in the Stormvale Castle and some other places that we've done. I die, and I'm going back, like I told you, like 15, 16 enemy encounters. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep spending 10 minutes getting back to my corpse just to have to fight the thing that killed me in the first place. Hopefully get past that now. And then who only knows what awaits around the next corner. And I'm like, this is getting crazy. So I spent, I don't know, at least 2 hours, 3 hours trying to get through there. Wasn't happening. And like I tell you, I don't like it when I'm wasting my time. I start to get really mad because I don't have a lot of it. I don't have a lot of time. And now I made zero progress. Now I know when I start up again, not only have I made zero progress, but I'm going to waste more time because I got to go waste my time to get back to the corpse again so I can get my runes and keep going. Or obviously bail and ditch. So it pissed me off. So like one night I just quit there, and then I got back to it, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm doing what we always talk about. Just go do random stupid little fun things. So I just took off, and I just went, hey, what's this little hut? Hey, what's this little cave thing? I'm going to go do that. Poop, 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 and all the little different spots that I could think of and find. And I was like, oh, you know what? I never did activate my Great Runes because I'm an idiot. So I went to the Divine Tower, got that activated. And I was like, what else? What other dumb little things were there that I just never did or forgot about? Oh, I've got one of those defiled rotten meat things to go give to the Beast Man. I'll just go give him the meat. Get another Ash of War or whatever the hell he gives you that time around. So that's what I've been doing. Just going around, putzing around, doing little things, getting more talismans, getting more weapons. Most stuff I can't even use or won't ever use, but at least I'm killing bosses and taking down enemies, and it's fun and it feels good. But I know it's coming, man. I know what's coming because I've been to both of the next quest areas. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, when am I going to be ready for that? Should I just go grind for like 20 more levels and then go back and give it a shot?
And that's what I'm kind of terrified about. Like I've told you that I've seen some end game areas and end game bosses just from watching those couple speed runs I saw. But I'm just afraid that, together, you, me, and Shay, I feel like we can do pretty much anything.
We'll probably be able to do it.
We can brute force stuff just fine. But I have a feeling there's going to come a time when either us as a group, like, because I've told you there's the platforming stuff that I've seen, or just me solo, are just going to hit a wall where it's just, this is too From Software. Like, we can get through the stuff we've been getting through and have a great time doing it. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling when it gets to the end, they're going to crank that dial all the way up. And I'm going to go, oh, this is what I was afraid everything was, and now it's here. And I can't do it.
Now it has come.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm terrified of that because I have so much fun doing all the other stuff. It's frightening.
Yeah, that part does scare me as well. And last but not least, before I end it, I did one thing that was funny but also really sucks. Is me and Shay found Radahan, whatever, and we're like, okay, well, let's do this guy. All right, cool. So we tried with me as the main character a few times. Didn't get him down. Then figured out, obviously, that you can summon all those helpers and stuff. So then we tried Shay. Did Shay a few times. Sure enough, we ended up getting it with Shay's guy. Shay got him down. And I had to go to bed soon, right? Mind you. So I was like, all right, well, get back over here, Shay. We'll try it one or two more times for me. But after that, I got to call because I got to get to my nap to go to work for this overnight crap. Okay, cool. Hey, dude. What's up? I can't come back. It won't let me back there. I can't help you. I can't come back to Radahan. It's over. The festival's over. So you don't see any of this? No, it's all gone. Cool. All right. So I tried it by myself a few times. It was getting there. It was decent. I was like, okay, I'll be able to do it, Shay. It's not a big deal. I'll be able to get it. Went to bed. Woke up. Went to work. Well, went to nap. Went to work. Went to bed. Woke up. What's these notes? What's this say? From Software. We unintentionally made Radahan pretty easy, and we really went ahead and buffed him way back up to where we want him to be. So I went, that doesn't sound good. Mm-hmm. So I got on. Let's go try Radahan. Any move he does is an instant kill now. Any move he does to me. Anything. Anything he does. Even his regular swipe is an instant kill.
Oh, man.
And I went, okay, well, I'm never beating Radahan. Hope you can beat the game without that. Hopefully. Hope that's the case. Even though I know he has a great rune. But whatever. Don't care. There it is.
I almost sent it to you guys. I'm not sure if Radahan's in there. But I saw somebody somebody was like, hey, can you be a pacifist and not actually use an attack and beat Elden Ring? And he did this whole big thing with summoning spirit ashes and all that stuff. If Radahan's in there, I'll be like, hey, check this out. Do exactly this. Build up your things, do the stuff. And this guy did it without even shooting anything or swiping a sword. So you got to be able to do it, Eric.
Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous, man.
You still got me. I can maybe still get you through it, and then I'll hit the wall, and I'll never be able to do it.
You'll be stumped on it. Hey. But maybe being that you can take some hits, you'll persevere. Whereas, like I said, any mistake I make, and it's over. And unfortunately, even though I have like 8 helpers there, none of them seem to be able to take any kind of real aggro when we're going up against them. I do more than 3-4 spells, and I've got him all over me like, white on rice. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I got to figure it out. I could probably do it if I spent a lot of time on it, but it just gets to that point where I'm like, okay, I'll just go do something fun instead. But that's it. That's been my week. Lots of craziness, some gaming. It's been fun.
But something else that should be fun, Eric, is the releases this week, and a game that I've always wanted to play but have been too intimidated to play, now has a console edition. Crusader Kings 3, a grand strategy game from Paradox Interactive. These games are so ridiculously deep and involved, and there's so many systems and so many windows and so many stats and things to manage and all this other crazy stuff. And why am I excited for Crusader Kings 3 console edition? Because it's on Game Pass. So I don't have to worry about it. I can just download it and play it. And if I don't understand it and I don't like it and I bounce off of it, it's fine because it was free for me to try and play. But if you don't know what Crusader Kings 3 is, or any Paradox Interactive game, really, you take control of some ruler in, I believe it's like medieval Europe / a little bit of Asia / the north part of Africa, and you kind of guide your ruler and your country and your kingdom through the ages. Crusader Kings 3, I think, is more based on like your character and your interpersonal relations and setting up a lineage and all that stuff, versus a lot of their games which are just like, you know, taking over the globe kind of stuff. But the thing about these games, I mean, I hinted at it earlier, is there's so many minute details, and you can adjust this and adjust that, and you're kind of leaning this way, so if you have like a parliament below you, their feelings are going to get adjusted this way or that way. The actions you take are going to affect your people and their opinion of you and the opinion of your neighbors who are next to you. So if you start building up your military, or you very slightly offend the guy who's just across the border for you, now you might be embroiled in one of those medieval, like, 10-year long wars where you're just chipping at each other all the time, and you got to grind up and feed your armies and fund your armies. These are those things that seem really dry. Like if I just describe it to you, hey, you do a bunch of menus to kind of, it's civilization, but super, super deep, and you're in the menus all the time. It sounds really dry and boring. But when you see somebody who's like really good at these games, Quill18 is a guy who I've watched play Crusader Kings 2 before. It's so interesting, the kind of stuff you can do. The way that you can have these relations with these other kingdoms and their rulers, you having marriage alliances back and forth. One thing that I learned about in this game is there's like religions and ways of thinking in here. So like if you are in like Catholic Ireland, your character, if you have an extramarital affair or something, you get excommunicated, all kinds of bad stuff can happen with you. But if you're in this other part of the world where you can have 2 concubines and all this stuff, you can have totally different play styles and totally different lives you can lead. Speaking of leading different lives, I watched the IGN review of the original PC version, and they mentioned characters have all these different traits. Like this guy is really domineering, this guy's really cruel, this guy's benevolent, that kind of stuff like that. And then they mentioned that there's a stress mechanic in this game. So if you pick a character who is cruel and bloodthirsty and ruthless, and you don't play to those characteristics, like if you win a war and you pardon all your enemies, he will start accumulating stress. And when that stress hits a certain threshold, he'll develop a coping mechanism for that stress. He might start drinking, or he might have a mental break or something like that. So you have to play to who this character is. And if you don't, you have gameplay things that happen that affect you and the way that you can play. Like in that review, they took over this lady in Egypt, and at some point she got so much stress, she developed a drinking problem. But because of that, she would throw these elaborate parties and feasts, so her people loved her because she would have these ornate feasts so she could get drunk to blow off the stress. But it was a benefit instead of a hindrance, because now everybody's invited and everybody loves her because she's throwing this crazy party. So crazy, intricate, weird stories that you can tell, and they just kind of happen organically because of these systems in the game and these, little strings you can pull. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, maybe that just sounds dry and boring and you just want to shoot stuff, that's fine. But this is available now on Game Pass. You can get it and play it. See if Crusader Kings is right for you. I've read the console edition. It probably does Crusader Kings 3 as well as you can on console, because there's tons of menus, tons of reading. I've heard there's radial menus to kind of pop up and quick select the stuff you need. The only kind of iffy parts are if you have a whole window of stuff open and clicking on stuff opens up a secondary window, then you have to close that one to go back to the first one. But, it's the kind of stuff that you're going to get going from PC to console. But this is the game I'm stoked to play for free on Game Pass, and maybe, again, just bounce off of it like I have Crusader Kings 2 before. But this game intrigues me, and I'm intrigued to play it and test it out and see if it's really for me or not. I'm excited.
Well, while you're testing this out, Matt, there's a game that's out that I will not be testing out. I will just be playing it. Now, earlier you mentioned dreams come true, you know. Max Payne's getting remade completely. A remake, full remake by Remedy. I don't get my dreams to come true like that, okay? My dreams, they go through some kind of filter, and then they get warped, and they change into something that wasn't quite what I asked for, but it's still there.
You got a funhouse mirror dream. It came out all tall and skinny. I guess it's okay.
So, of course, what I'm talking about is Chrono Cross, Matt. The Radical Dreamer Edition. It's coming out. It is out. You can get it right now. As we speak, you can get it on any system you want. PS4, Xbox, PC, or the Switch. I'll be getting for the PlayStation, obviously, because, you know, I want the trophies. I want them trophies. Now, what this is Chrono Cross as it was back then, except for HD to the 3D models has been done, a little sprucing up here. The music, the background music, etc. has been all livened up, some remixes in there, etc. all put in there. So that's fantastic. That's wonderful. A whole bunch of little extra tidbits, such as you can turn off the auto battle kind of thing going, stuff like that. Just some nice quality of life things. That's all been put in there. But it's not a remake, man. It is just Chrono Cross, basically at its core, done again. So I'm totally playing it. It's just 100% going to happen. It's a wonderful game. If you haven't played it, this is the perfect opportunity to get in there and do it. And if you didn't know, developed by D4 Enterprises, of course, also co-developed by Square Enix and published, of course, by Square Enix because this is a Square game. I'm just sad because I was hoping so bad for a remake, but with this having come out, I feel like that's kind of that's all we're doing. There's your Chrono Cross. That's what you're getting. And it just breaks my heart because I would have loved to seen that game completely remade and not just re-released, basically with some spruce ups, like I said, to the HD and the battle toggling and this and that.
I feel like Square Enix does these weird things. Like, they'll release this, and then I bet if enough people did clamor about for a remake, they'd go, well, I mean, if enough people buy it, we'd consider doing a remake of it. Because they did that with the Pixel remasters. Like, hey, if there's enough pub, then maybe we'll put them on consoles eventually, because they're not on consoles right now. Mm-hmm. But could you just, like, do it and then just reap the reward anyway, instead of, like, putting out, like, a little tiny feeler and going, hey, if everybody eats this little worm that we just put out, maybe we'll give you
we'll do
two little worms. Like, I don't know. I feel you, because it would be awesome for it to be all shined up and all the things done to it.
But you know what they'll do, man? They'll if this does very successful, which unfortunately it won't. I mean, it's just like I said, it's a re-release. The only people that are going to get this are people like me, people who've already played it, loved it, or loved old school RPGs and didn't get to this one and get it. That's it. This ain't bringing in Johnny Snowflake Man from the Mountain of Fortnite or whatever. They're not going to go, oh, look at this ancient RPG that I can play now if I buy it for whatever it is, $29.99 or whatever.
I will say it is kind of weird because this is that kind of, you know, they cleaned it up, and to you and me, it looks really good. But it's not that, like, totally, like, wow, cleaned it up like the Pixel remasters. It's still the same games, but they're shined up so much that will pull in somebody who's never played it before. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say this, but I feel like there's only so much shine you can put on just a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
You have to remake it to make it pull in that audience.
To make it awesome. Yeah, I agree. But even if it did really well, they wouldn't remake Chrono Cross. They would go, now we're remaking Chrono Trigger, boys and girls. That's what they would do because they know that's money. And Chrono Trigger's amazing, so don't get me wrong. It's not like I wouldn't be happy, but yeah, it's just a dream that, you know, unfortunately isn't going to come true. But I'm happy to at least get what I'm getting out of it, and I get to play it with, like I said, the HD, you know, up textures, etc. The remixes to all the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful songs in this game. I mean, this soundtrack is banging, and now with these remixes, I get a fresh take on all sorts of the music I remember so very fondly. So I'm excited for that, and of course, on top of it all, man, you get the Radical Dreamers, which is the storybook adventure game that was the origin of why this was even made in the first place. So you can go ahead and play through that and see how this game, Chrono Cross, came to be, which is really, really cool. And, of course, I've never played it because no one's ever played it as far as I'm aware. Well, in America anyway, unless you've done some crazy, you know, downloading stuff or whatever. But not many of us have. So That'll be a bonus. Will I actually finish Radical Dreamers? Maybe. It depends on how short it is or how much fun it is. I don't really know. I didn't do any kind of in-depth look at it. I figured I'd just check it out on a rainy day when I obviously get it to go play Chrono Cross. So, I won't mention much more except to say, if you don't know, it's a old school RPG. You get over 40 plus characters in this game. Well, you can get, because you can miss tons of them. And that's what allures me to this game. What allured me to this game in the first place.
That's what I hate, though. It's because that's what I didn't, not hate. I shouldn't say hate. That's what I don't like about it, because I was stressed about it back in the day when I originally played it. Like, oh, look at that. There's that little weird woodman. I can't get him yet, though. Okay, but I have to remember that he's here. After I do whatever it is I need to do to be able to get the woodman, I got to come back and get the woodman. Oh, there's like a flower lady on the very next screen. She's not going to join me either. Oh my God, what have I got to do? I got to play with strategy guide. I got to do it.
No, don't do that. I did it the way you're supposed to, Matt. I made my choices. I laid in my bed, and the team and the posse I ended up with was the team and the posse I was meant to have, Matt. Those were the friends I was going to make. These are my team. These are my family. Did I get Peapod Man? Nope, never did. Well, he's a jerk. Who cares? You didn't want to come join me when I came to your house? That's on you. Not on me. I shouldn't have to come back bringing you the fruit of Giuseppe just to get you on my team. Screw you, buddy.
What if he's way better than the dumb idiots you're running around with? Man.
Glenn's perfectly strong enough. We don't need him. Don't need him. All right? So, yeah, there's tons of characters in this game. The story is phenomenal. It's crazy. It's super good. It doesn't really tie back too much to Chrono Trigger, if you're wondering, but, I don't care. That's not the point. The story is great. The music's great. Everything is just wonderful. And I will say that the HD upgrade to the 3D models, when you're doing your cutscenes and stuff like that, it looks good. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can still tell it's obviously made back in the day, but it's cleaner, it's more colorful, and it was looking pretty solid. So I'm going to enjoy it, but I will always dream of a better day with a full remake that I'm never going to get, No,
I'm going to get it too, because I enjoyed the original. I never beat it, and this is going to be on my old school RPGs that I need to actually beat. Here is the perfect excuse to buy it and play it again and beat it. The last thing on the remake thing, they should have pixel remastered Chrono Trigger, and then they'd be like, oh, look at all the sales we got for this. Now let's just super shine up, super remake Chrono Cross. That would have been like first step, next step.
That would have been awesome, and people would have, I think, liked that a lot, because everyone considers Chrono Trigger an absolute masterpiece. So just by sprucing it up, cleaning it up, making it as pretty and shiny as it possibly could be, you're getting all the true believers happy, because they ain't got to worry about you screwing it up in a full remake or doing anything wonky that makes them mad. Whereas people love Chrono Cross, but I think people would be way more open to that being completely remade and not as upset if anything changed that they didn't like or whatever.
And Trigger will get you the money that you can then use for Cross to
and then you finally make the new Chrono game that was in the making years ago and got completely thrown in the trash can and never saw the light of day. You can finally bring that back and get it back up on the table and resurrect Chrono games.
And speaking of things that are dead and are just bones now, we got skeleton keys. We got keys are back. They're back in business. Meat's back on the menu, boys. Because we got skeleton keys for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
There we go. That's how we do it. Randy Pittsford's been dropping them like crazy. The Wonderlands Twitter just dropped 3 in a row that I think are expiring right now as you're hearing this. So hopefully you got them all. But man, I'm not going to go into all the other games, because now we have keys for Wonderlands, and it's fantastic. And we're going to talk about getting to the skeleton chest later in the episode. But first, another thing you can do that has nothing to do with bones or dead things is just today, like minutes before we started recording the show, I saw it on Twitter. They have a Wonderland Sweepstakes from Gearbox and 2K and somebody else. You can win a trip for 2 to Germany for like 5 nights and stay in what they call a Wonderlands-themed hotel apartment. So did they just spruce up like one giant suite in this hotel? I don't know. There's no pictures of it. But Wonderlands-themed hotel apartment. That sounds phenomenal. I can only imagine how great that would be. Plus, you get to go to Germany. Who doesn't love going to Europe and seeing sights and eating, bratwurst and all that stuff? Boom. I signed up. I entered. You should enter. Everybody should enter. And then if they win, they should take me along with them.
Yes.
Because I would take any one of you. I'm telling you right now.
You're lying, man. You are lying. You would not take them. Don't you be fooled, audience. He's lying to you. He ain't taking you. He ain't. He's not. I can see it in his eyes already.
I would take one of you out there. I can only take one. So, hey, when I win, I better see some messages on the Patreon,
Yeah, right? Uh-huh. I see what you're getting at. I got to go get that. I didn't see that yet today, obviously, because I haven't been on the internet in many hours now. But I got to go get it because I want to go to Germany, and I want to stay in a really cool Wonderlands-themed hotel, Matt. That sounds like a freaking good idea.
Heck yeah. I can't remember who originally tweeted it out, but I retweeted it from the show account. So go to @ThirdShiftME on Twitter, and you will find it, and you will sign up. All you got to do is put in your name and your email. Boom, you're entered to win, and you're going to want to win. I guarantee it.
Gosh bless. Yes, I do want to win. And on top of all that, you said we got them keys. And I'm proud to say, Matt, I actually entered in some codes. I actually did it. I got some keys. I'm a grown boy now.
My man.
And to do that, we had to play the game. And we did. We played that game.
We actually played it for more than 15 minutes. It was great.
It was wonderful. We got on there and we did a nice proper evening of it. A few hours of just fun, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands time. So here we are, our first real impression beyond the 30-minute, stint we had the previous week. Where are we at, Matt? What are we feeling? How you feeling? What's going on?
It's funny because we had a couple ups and downs just on the play session itself, but I am so high up right now because we mentioned it last week when we played that opening level and then got dropped from the game. In that opening level, there were 4 lucky dice, golden dice that you could find. And then in the next area we went to, there were like 10. And we didn't even get them all. And the next area, there were like 15. And the next, there were like 20. We mentioned it before, how good it feels to hear your buddy go, ha 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 ha, come on over here, check this out. Boom, lucky die. You did that. I did that. You did that. I did that. We did that all night long, constantly finding stuff and constantly, oh, hang on, what's this over here? Okay, I'm seeing a lucky die that we're going to find in 15 minutes. And by that time, you're twisting and turning through the streets and you don't even know. So it's even a surprise to you. I saw this up here and then, oh, here it is. Hey, come here. Here's that thing that I saw earlier. Oh, that in itself just feels so good to find the hidden things and look at I love it.
Now, speaking of the hidden things, it is awesome to be finding those dice. And it is also awesome, as we mentioned, that it lists them for you.
Yeah.
So you can, you understand where you're at with it. However, the Dragon Lord symbols. The Dragon Colt symbol, sorry. What the heck? Where are they at?
Is it that big thing that's on the wall there? Is it this one?
Is it this one?
That's the new bit. Anytime I find something on a wall, I'm like, hey, is this one of them symbols, Eric? What is this? No, it's a stupid mushroom, idiot. Okay. I go to the purple mushroom. Is this one it?
Eric, come over here. Come here, look. I think this might be it. Is this it? Shut up, man.
But see, I think, obviously we haven't found one yet, and we've only been to a few areas, even so. But I feel like this is going to be that balance where you're finding lucky dice all over the place, even though you can't find them all right away. But you're maybe only going to find a couple of these if you're really searching and scratching. And I like that. I like that there's that balance. I would like, if there was only one collectible, I'd like it to be in the middle, like the Borderlands symbols were. Mm-hmm. But if you have one that's a lot, I'm fine with one being super rare.
Well, and that, of course, going off of that is what I like, but also terrifies me in this one. It's because the areas are pretty darn big.
Yeah.
You got a lot of room to kind of move around and explore while you're on the mission. Well, that's cool because it allows you to explore. It allows you to find those die like we were doing and look for the Dragon Colt symbols. Downside, you get sidetracked too long, and I don't remember where the hell we're going anymore.
True, yeah.
And now I'm off way on the right side because I've been over here like 17 minutes looking for these stinking die and looking for the cult symbols. And then I go, I don't know, I think we're over here. And then you're like, no, Eric, that's the beginning. And I go, I can't tell what's what. Where are we at? What are we doing?
You are right. It does kind of worry me because we do get sidetracked like that. But getting sidetracked was so fun.
Oh, yeah.
When the thing was, go through the castle gates, and we found that underground cave area, and then we went over the bridge and found that whole little, open area that obviously these are 2 side quest zones. And we're just running around and finding stuff and jumping in every single hut and trying to find the things. So, yeah, I agree with you. As much as it does worry me, I do love it, though. It's so good.
It is so much fun. It's awesome, and as long as we both stay on that, that line, it's great. But if anybody starts to go, well, I just want to, we got to get through this, and then somebody's wandering off and getting lost and doesn't know where the hell they are, then you're like, oh, no, darn it. So that's what I'm worried about, is those nights where one of us is in a different mode, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, dude, nope, we're not progressing. We're staying right here. No, I don't want to. I want to go. We got to go. Stop wandering off to the side quest that we haven't even activated, that we're going to have to go back to anyway. Yeah, but are we ever going to actually go back and we get that side quest? We don't know.
To be fair, we did find the marble there, so we did do something. It wasn't just nothing. We found the lost marble thing with the additional voiceover, so that was something. But speaking of things that we're afraid of, I'm going to start with the positives. I got my mushroom dude. He's awesome. He looks amazing. He's got the same colors that I put my character on. Even the color that my character's armor doesn't have on it that I put on my character, it's on him. So I'm excited that he is like Mr. Beef in that way. He's going to mirror your colors. He's going to do all that stuff. And when we had that boss fight, I threw him in there and he was Mr. Beef. He just stood there and tanked the whole boss, and it was beautiful and amazing. The thing that I'm scared of, though, and it happened, I mean, I tried it many, many times. He is not aggressive like Mr. Beef is. When I start shooting enemies from a million miles away, he doesn't run his happy little self over there. He stands there looking at me and opening his mouth and being all crazy. Now, he does do the big jump. If I toggle an enemy and I say, go, he'll pshoom and go and start doing it. But sometimes when that enemy's dead because I shot it, because I've been shooting it the whole time, he just kind of comes traipsing back. Come on, man. You gotta be hungry like Mr. Beef. The hamburger kid would go after those enemies. So I love him, and he's great, especially in the boss that we did fight. It was perfect. It was exactly what I want. But sometimes he just doesn't do enough. Sometimes he's not as aggressive as I want, and it makes me sad. Because I just want to not have to do anything. I don't even want to have to push up to ping things. I just want him to just tear up the whole room.
Run around tearing up bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. So I don't have the ad, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm the Stabmancer, so I'm over there just throwing the blade out. I've got no issues with it, except for I don't think I can recall the blade. I've tried to, look at the different buttons, see what I could figure out, but so far nothing's really worked. So maybe I'm just a doofus, but I don't think I can recall it, and that's a bummer, because if I accidentally cast it out and the skeleton or whatever group was there, this dies, in 2 seconds. Now that it's just a completely wasted skill set. Going off for no reason. I'm like, oh man, let me recall that and then cast it out somewhere else a second later.
And I'm in the same boat with my cryo tornadoes that I unlocked, I think, at level 7. I throw them out, and then we are so efficient, and my little mushroom dude and your stabby blade and those tornadoes, they just go, they just chew up everything. And I go, all right, come back to Papa. So you're not just whirling at nothing while we search the whole area. And they go, nope. I think that's the only thing that I think I put them out once, and they chewed up the enemies, and I actually, that was the one thing where I literally just ran forward to spawn more so they could keep doing stuff.
So that's the only downside to that so far with the Stabmancer. On the side, man, I've been doing a Clawbringer, mirroring whatever we do for the day, because I too love a pet class. But like I said, I wanted to do a Phoebe, so that didn't work out. Well, maybe it will for secondary, we'll see. So I just got to the point where the Wyvern becomes my secondary, my little helper, and I want to test it so bad, but I'm caught up almost to where we were, so I'm like, but I should just stop here and wait till we progress further. So I too, Matt, look forward to seeing how my little helper does, seeing as how I have a flying one,
right?
So I wonder if that kind of makes any difference, being that it has a bigger radius of floating around my head and doing stuff, if it will then go out further and attack enemies, because if it does, maybe that could be your secondary, or maybe you can go with the Greatborn, who also has a flying class pet. I don't know, maybe it'll help.
The Clawbringer was definitely going to be my secondary, but now since I didn't look at the Graveborn tree or whatever it's called, since I didn't look at that tree at all, it makes me curious to go back in and see what I can pick for just the ad specifically, because I'm not going to use the burn up your health to do big abilities section of it. So if I can just buff him up and make him like either an aggro or like a healing machine, who knows? I'm excited for more ads though, because if one's maybe not aggressive enough, two've got to be. Two has to be enough. They got to fly in and just go nuts.
Go to town. Yep. So the ads, your little helpers, so far, hopefully we see a little bit more from them. Spell-wise, I'm loving it. The spells so far are really, really cool. I've tried out the lightning, some flame stuff. Obviously, the one with the skull, whatever that was, the one that came with your,
the legendary stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All of those are really cool. And I already see areas where you can get it to where basically your spells are going to be constantly up. And I love that rotation. I love the feeling of just, I'm shooting, but then boom, spell procs, cast your spell, keep shooting, spell procs, cast a spell. That feels great. Like the grenade, it feels way better than grenades ever felt to me. Grenades to me, since they, you only had a certain amount, it was typical Eric play, where unless I was in deep trouble, I just never really used grenades, and I would just hold them. But with a spell the way it is, it feels like other action type games I play usually, where it's, no, when your spell's off cooldown, you utilize it because you want to get it on cooldown again as fast as possible so it gets off cooldown again to use it once again for maximum damage output. That just clicks in my brain. It makes perfect sense. So doing that in here, it feels second nature, and it feels right at home for me just to be popping one after the other.
I do really like the spells. I just feel like, well, for my character, I need to invest more in spell cooldown because I've gone 100% health, ward regen, and all that stuff. So I feel like once I get that up, I will like it a lot more. What I do like, though, is that I have, the spell, and the spell has a fairly long cooldown, but my action skill, which is the 5 arrows she shoots out at once, I have 2 or 3 charges of that, so I can get that kind of rotation going of pew, 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 arrows, spell, shoot, gun, send the mushroom dude out, arrows, now the spell's off cooldown, boom, tink, 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 tink. So I have a slower rotation, but I feel like once I get that, ability and skill cooldown churning and burning, then it'll feel really good.
I agree. And for me, it's already starting to feel pretty good. Damage-wise so far, I can't make a call. It's still too early. We haven't done enough when it comes to guns, where if I'm happy with how I feel about the damage output, there are definitely some weapons so far where I feel like I'm just shooting peas at the enemy, and it kind of confuses me. But since there's so many guns, I just throw that one off and put something else on. So like I said, it's too early for me to say yet because some guns have been really good to me, and some have been, I don't even know what they were even doing, to be honest with you. So
I feel like that's my only issue with the guns is I don't understand what I'm shooting out, let alone how that's affecting things. Like even that legendary gun that kind of shoots the winged bats. Mm-hmm. It took me a while it sounds like I'm stupid, but I'm not, to understand how to shoot it to do effective damage to enemies. And some other guns are like that too. It'll shoot out like a wave and it looks like it's doing what it should, but it's not doing hardly any damage. So it's just figuring out what the weird thing is that your weapon's doing.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think a lot of these are proximity based.
Right, yeah.
There's a couple shotguns so far, and obviously shotguns are close range weapons.
Right.
But before, you could see them shooting out, whereas now, like you said, they're these elemental effects going, and I'm like, is it actually only going 15 yards in front of me? What's happening? But I mean, you're in the thick of it, it's hard to figure out because you're just over here trying to kill the enemies and not get killed.
And here's another wave, and that's coming in. You're having to send out your spells and do this stuff. So yeah, I feel you.
So it's going to take a little time. So I won't judge the guns yet. It's way too early, but there's definitely a lot of different things happening with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited for that. It's cool, and they're definitely different so far than what we're used to from typical Borderlands. And with the spells combined, though, I'm just definitely digging combat. And the baddies, the health pools and stuff seem fair enough to me right now. I didn't really get aggravated very much, so I was happy about it.
Yeah, obviously we're still pretty much in the intro to the game. We just unlocked Bright Hoof and came back to it from the first mission that we did. Mm-hmm. So we haven't even unlocked the shops and all that stuff. So we haven't fought anything really tough, but it felt pretty good. I will say that first boss that we fought, just watching that health bar just melt as the mushroom chewed on her. Your blade was going. My cryo tornadoes were all over, and we were shooting. Just go dead. It was great. It was underwhelming, but it was great. It was that power fantasy moment of just, man, we did it. We're killers. We're killers.
And I've been hearing that some folks have been saying that the medium, which is what we put it on, is too easy. So a lot of people are bumping it up to that next notch, whatever it was. I don't remember.
Right.
To get kind of that a little more challenging flair out of it. But me and you, we're fine. I'm there to have some fun, kill some baddies. I'm not worried about it. So
I will say, as long as it doesn't get ridiculous, I'm fine with us just keeping it, because we're going to drink beers and laugh and have fun, and that's what we're here for. And then later, if we want to do a true Vault Hunter mode or a harder run through, we can do that later.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else first impressions wise? I don't know about you, Matt, but let me start. All right, I'll start. And it's Paladin Mike. I thought for sure Paladin Mike would be a variant of Oscar Mike. Don't ask me why I thought that, but I just thought in my bones. I know it wasn't true because I remember Jim stating that he was happy for the new Paladin Mike, and then the spirit of Oscar Mike was with him or whatever.
And then he was these different characters too. He listed off the characters he is.
He listed off who he was actually, voicing and stuff. So I knew it wasn't there, but I held out hope that it was all just subterfuge to get us, be a surprise for us Battleborn fans. To see that it wasn't Oscar Mike, I was sad because I just want. This is the perfect opportunity to bring back a lot of those characters. Alani would fit perfectly with like the Merfolk. Obviously, Oscar Mike could have been Battle Mike, Paladin Mike, Battle Mike, Battle Mike,
Battle Mike.
And just bring it, your Snaky Snake, perfect opportunities to get them all in there.
Damn it. See, I was totally
amazing.
not, as much as I love Battleborn, I was like, they're not going to do anything like there. And then you said Pendles, and I went, how can you not have a Sneaky Snake dude who talks like this? Oh, I'm going to cut your throat for a nickel.
Yes. I just thought this was the perfect opportunity for it.
That did make me laugh when we rolled up. Like, hey, meet up with Paladin Mike. There he is. And we rolled up and you were like, Paladin Mike, voiced by old pal Jim. Oh, Paladin Mike. And I was just like,
nope, it's Lorelei.
Nope. I don't know where you even got that from, dude.
Why would you try to trick yourself, Eric? Like, dang it, man. Don't get me wrong, Lorelei had to come in somewhere, and by God's, why the hell not here?
I will say I did enjoy the tiny bit of dialogue from Tina when you're like chasing Paladin Mike, you're going into Brighthoof or something. She was like, oh yeah, by the way, I met this real cool barista chick on the Echo Net.
Oh, yeah.
And I stole her voice and all her mannerisms and all this stuff. And then she even went into an Australian accent as Tina, but not as. I was like, that's perfect. That's beautiful. That's exactly what I want this whole game to be. It's just some character reference, a Battleborn reference or whatever, and then some like throwaway line from Tina to justify the whole thing. Oh yeah, I was watching this crazy video game and somebody was playing who had a hook and he says his name was Galt. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Just boom. Just something zany. Here's an explanation that doesn't make any sense unless you know. And then gone. You don't need to worry about it. Just hand wave. It's gone. Well, whatever.
You just got a really great laugh and off you go. And of course, speaking and keeping on the laughs and the good stuff here before we finish it off, we're on voices. So let me tell you, my weird voice, which of course is Phoebe's voice, it's so good. It's so good. I want it more and more. There's not enough of it. I'm like, no. I need you to keep speaking up and keep saying weird things whenever I'm killing these baddies or doing whatever. Because some of the stuff you say is awesome. It's just totally random, weird crap. And I'm all bored for that whole thing. I'm telling you.
I will say I agree. And I like my guy's kind of like snooty, I'm so great voice. And I like his lines. But sometimes they pop up like for no reason whatsoever. Like I'm just running and he's like, could I have too much loot? No way. I'm like, I didn't even pick up anything. I'm looking at a rock to see if there's something behind it. Like, where'd that come from? So I feel you. I love the stuff he says, especially when it is in context. And I killed an enemy, and he goes, meh. It's great. Sometimes it just pops up in weird places, though.
I guess that's a fair point. And then, of course, last but not least, Andy Samberg and Wanda Sykes. Andy Samberg so far, cool. Nothing wrong with him. But man, Wanda is just taking the cake for me so far. Everything she says is awesome, and I'm just loving it, and it puts a smile on my face whenever she talks. So definitely a good job there.
You're just saying that because all she wants to do is murder stuff.
I know.
Literally anybody could voice
anything.
your least favorite person in the world. Bob could come in and voice a character going, I just want to stab him in his eyeball and pick his brain out.
Yes.
And you would go, that's my favorite character. Woohoo!
What can I say? I just love it. I love the mayhem and I love the murder. I love it when the characters come out and they're just telling you to do the most outrageous, crazy stuff. I fall for it every time.
And I really lean more towards the Andy Samberg stuff because he's so dumb and like and not dumb in a bad way, but he's just like so goofy and doofy that I just love his like, sometimes he's like super innocent and just like, I don't understand what's going on. And sometimes he has like seduced the drawbridge. I'm going to do that. Who would even think of that? And then you hit the heart and it goes and yeah, you did it. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. Boom, you're done. Beautiful. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was definitely good. And I hope we get a lot more of it. It is weird that they're not actually with you. They're just kind of like voiceovers, like, you know, just helping you from the actual real world.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll change later and we'll see them in the game a couple times because, like, you know, they were with you in the intro. So I don't know how that's going to work out yet, but, you know, whatever. I'll take it. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So it's all good on my end.
That is kind of interesting. It makes me wonder if, like in Borderlands 3, we had Maya for like the big boss fight. You know, obviously the first one before stuff happened. We had a lot of guest characters in the big boss fights. I wonder if that's where they'll come in. Like, hey, at the end, when you're fighting the Dragon Lord, ping ping. Here we are. We were here the whole time in spirit, or, you know, just not visible to be the player. But I feel like that's probably the route they'll go with it. But it'd be interesting, if that does happen, to actually see what their characters are. Because obviously you see them, you know what they look like. But I am not what my character looks like. What does their character look like? I mean, you see them, but you get what I'm saying. It could be totally different.
Yeah. I'm hoping that happens. That would be really cool to actually have them come all dressed up, you know, D&D fashion and in character to help you out with some of the cooler fights or something. Just to make it feel right. I think it'd make it feel good.
Imagine Andy Samberg's character. You know, he's the big paladin looking dude, but he shows up in a dress. What are you doing? Well, it's got better stats than this. I want it to go in. This is my int build because I'm going to cast some spells. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. That'd be great. You could do all kinds of silly stuff with that.
I agree, and hopefully they do. I really do. I'm looking forward to playing it again, Matt.
I'm looking forward to it too. But what about you out there in podcast listener land? Are you looking forward to playing more Wonderlands? Are you way ahead of us? Are you mad because we didn't even talk about the overworld, which is something I wanted to mention briefly, even though we don't have a lot to talk about? Because it is so much fun and there's so much stuff, and we stumbled across side quests we can't even solve yet. So we got to remember in our little brain heads to go back across all those shortcuts and go back to there and offer up the shards and do the things. Let us know any of that stuff via email at thirdshiftme@gmail.com, on the Twitter machine at ThirdShiftME, and find us on Facebook under Third Shift. And surprise, the thing that we asked you guys to do last time, somebody did it, but I'm going to save it for when my bacon needs saving. I'm saving it. I'm not even going to let you see it because you don't have access to the email, sucker! Woo!
Man.
It's mine, all mine.
What a cruel son of a gun you are, Matt. You know, saving those tidbits to save yourself from the demons on those bad, lonely days. But that's okay. You know what? I'm happy. That's all that matters. I'm having a great time. If you want to have a great time, you should go check out all the things Matt's talking about. Or go over to the Facebook, because we are over there. Or maybe even go over to Patreon and throw money our way. Because you know what makes you feel good is when you give other people money. And you can give us money. And that'd make you feel good. Okay? That'd make you feel good. And then we would feel good. All right? You can do that over on Patreon. Or, if you ain't got money, Matt just said it. Hey, you can throw the questions our way. You can throw advice our way. You can throw topics that you want talked about our way. All sorts of really cool, fun stuff. That does make us feel good, too. So it's a win-win for everybody. Or give us those ratings on the Spotify, the iTunes. You know the rigmarole by now. So get over there and do those things, please.
And, of course, you can also listen to our very next episode, which will be dropping on or by the 14th, because I have an event that night, so we might have to record early. Anyway, you can check it out on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podbean, on Spotify, and on YouTube. And as I always say, hey, if you like what we're doing and you'd like to help us out, please give us a like, a rating, review, a comment, a subscription, any kind of good thing on any one of those good services, because it does help us out, and we really do appreciate it. And that person who sent me the thing that's going to save my bacon, he also did the thing you're about to talk about. And he said he can't see it either, so tell him. Tell them about the thing, the special thing that they have to do. Tell them. Because he did it. Don't know. He did it. There's three of us now who've done it.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, the thing I'm supposed to do. Now, here's the deal about the thing I'm supposed to do with that old Spotify, Matt, is I had to delete it off my phone because my phone said I didn't have space for Spotify. It was taking up too much space. I was out of room. It was corrupting everything. Mm-hmm. I couldn't download the files, so I had to get rid of it. Well, you have to have the app to get in there and even do the 5-star stuff. So I have to now get it and log in on my PC, which I assume you can do, right?
You can also just like make a second account and do it twice, or a third account and do it thrice, or a fourth account and do it force. Our fifth account.
that's
do
true.
fifths.
1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
So you can get over, just like apparently a few others already have on that Spotify, and start adding those 5 stars. I don't think you can leave comments. I'm pretty sure like 99.9%. It's literally just a star system. But you know what? It's the same deal we always tell you. It gets us up in the algorithms, makes it so we're seen faster than you'd see some other goofy sons of guns who you don't want to see. I promise you. You want to see us, not them. So get them star ratings in there so all everybody else sees is us, and then we take over the world. You want to see a world where I'm the king. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a great world.
You want to see a world where we're the kings. Because like we talked about with our character leanings, I'm going to temper the worst aspects here of Mr. Eric. That's how that's going to work. So make us both into kings, and until that time, there's nothing else to say. But don't forget to say...
Shut up and sit down.